Hey, welcome back to Soda Time Restoration. We're coming into the finals. A lot of things. We've got the selection door here that we've got left that we're getting ready to put together. We got a few pieces on the back of the main door that we're going to do tonight, but man, it is looking really good. So a couple finalized pieces. I've been asked this on one of my other videos. People weren't for sure how this piece gets installed. You've got your crank assembly here on the back side, and I always try to grab this back here and line that up. That arm should come out, straight out. It should not be stuck this way. It should be this way. You have a little bit of adjustment down here in this area if you need to make that longer, because if you'll look, the side of that inside the machine, that piece is in an angle, and it's in an angle for a reason. So you're going to see in this crank assembly here that runs the gate, this needs to be in an angle. So to getting this piece in there, get you a pair of needle nose, take your piece, get it in there. I usually do this bottom side like this, so you can kind of get a little help pushing this in. And if you'll grab this bottom piece right here, I'm going to try to do this on camera, get that in there just like so. And once you get to that spot right there, I take a hammer, and you can use a pair of vice grips if you want. I'll get this a little bit closer so you can see it. If you get a hold of it, you don't want this to drop down in there, and that's been always a problem. People will drop this down in there, but get a hold of the top piece, and as much as you can get a hold of there, and tap that in, and then get it right on the end. There you go, just like that. Hopefully that showed on the video all right. Try your ratchet assembly. Make sure that's working all right. That looks good. So we're gonna go to the next step. We're gonna put our cover assembly down on the bottom here. Pop that in. And then you got your cover plate that you put on over the top of this. Keeps that covered up. Got lined up just right. Like that. We have one other piece here we need to put in there. You'll have a gasket here with the latch. Make sure you get that in there. And that seals off the lock area there. So you're locking that down, so make sure all those corners get down. All right. Okay, we'll jump back onto the selection door. You will tape in your lens with your one side the sticky tape one. You can get this in a gray or black. Originally, the one I took out of there was a gray one, and it covered the whole lens. I like leaving the back open so it can get a little bit of light through that lens, definitely with the light in the door. So, but I've got another 81, it's got it opened up. So this particular one, they covered the whole lens. Now here it is. As you can see, this is the original one, and it covered everything. So, but then I've got another 81D, same series, and it's got an open back to it. We'll get the handle is one of the next pieces to go on. Get that put on here. Make sure you get these tight, because you don't want to go back in there when that handle starts getting loose, because you'll have to take all the glass out, take everything out just to get back to this handle. Good and tight, like so. All right, so your next pieces that are ready to go in next will be your glass. I usually try to clean the glass real good. So when you're looking at your rails, you're gonna see a skinny side and a wide side. The difference is the wide goes to the base of the front of the door. So the skinny side will be to the back side of the selection door. Can you put them in backwards? I think I've tried one time, and I think you can. But if you look at all the ones you tear down, take a good look at them, the skinny side should be going towards the inside of the machine. So we're gonna, before we get too far here, we're gonna clean up all the glass. The outside piece is glass. The rest of the pieces, I've seen it go both ways. They can either do plastic on the inner one, or they can do it in a glass. This particular one we're gonna do tonight will be glass on the outside, which is the only way to do the outside one, I would think. I've never tried to do it in plastic. I guess you could. I've never really thought about that, but I guess you could. But I think probably the correct way is putting glass to the outside. You should have an inner gasket. So you'll see an inner gasket piece that lays in there. And it's been one that I've got a lot of questions on. I've got several 81s right now. But the holes for the inner side one and the inner all show to be always on the bottom side of the door. So right now it would be similar to that. It could go, I think I've done it both ways, to be honest with you. I went back on some other ones and I thought maybe it would vent. Sometimes you get that, it won't vent very good. It seems like it holds a little bit of moisture in between the two, so I flipped them. Didn't seem like it changed much. So if you've done some studying on that, great. I have not found anything that just says, hey, this is the best way. The only thing I've kind of went with is the originals come apart that way. That's kind of the way I'm putting them back together. So we're gonna get these wiped down real good. Nothing worse than get one together and you look at it and it's got grass or hair or something on there, and you can't never get to it ever again. I guess you can if you want to tear it apart, but this is the best time to get it the cleanest possible on the inside and outside. Do it in as clean as environment as you can. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So the stainless, I didn't video that part. I just took my Vivid Restore and some stainless steel, cleaned them up as much as possible. Before you get to the stage, obviously you don't want them very, very dirty. I'm going to do this glass one more time. You can use glass cleaner. I like using my Extreme Detailer from Vengeance. Works great on glass. I mean, it makes it pop. Be very careful with your glass. It's very sharp in the corners. It can cut you. So we're going to take and lay everything in here. It sits in the rack the way it should. So like we said, the thin side is going to be the upside. Your glass will be the first piece in. Get it in there just as good as you can get it. Take your other piece, same thing. Get it tracked in there properly. Get your heights about the same. You'll have caps that go on both ends. Your next piece will be your inner piece. And just to be on the safe side here, we'll wipe that one last time before we put it together. Your gasket will have a slot, so that sets in there real tight and firm. If you've got the old gasket and it's nice, I would say still replace it, unless it's just really super good, but they get pretty dried out and you want this to seal off really good. So as you're going, this inner piece is going to be your last time you're going to be able to wipe it down, like so. Set your gasket, then your next piece will go in just like that. Make sure your hole's to the bottom side. Pull that together a little bit, about like that. That looks good. Your next piece that will lay in there, before you cover it, make sure you wipe it one last time. Make sure there's nothing on there. Get every corner. And do the same here. Obviously one side you can get, but get it wiped down really good. Your next piece then will go into the next slot. And we want the hole down to the bottom. About put that in upside down. And like that. Everything then needs to line up. Get your tops and bottoms pretty good. Your next piece will be your caps. Stick them on there like so. And hold it all together. And you're ready to stick it into the housing like that. I always check and see if it's all centered to the holes. You'll have holes that you're going to be lining up. Check them right quick right now. See how they're doing. That's looking good. So your rail system will be one of the sets of screws that we're going to be putting on to hold this together. And if it feels really, it's actually feels really good right now. So let me get a set of screws and we'll start putting this together. We'll go ahead and put one of these rails on here. Don't want to over tighten those right now, about like that. Do one on this side, right there. And let's grab some other screws. Okay, tighten all those down. Be cautious, don't slip off. Scratch your new paint job here. Sure everything is tight. You don't want any of these loose because you got a door that's getting opened and closed and open and closed. You want to get these fairly tight where there's nothing loose in the system. That's looking good. Okay, see how that's looking pretty good. All right, let's get this mounted. So one thing I always do, get your rag, put that down in that corner there, just for now, just something to let that ride just like so. Get this first one, get you a short Phillips, set that in there, get your top one. Just need to get the one in, then you can make your adjustments later. At least get that one in. Get your screwdriver up on the head of it there. And I usually hold it from the back side. You can get your fingers just right. Hold your plate down with one finger, like so. Make sure your bottom stays in so it don't fall out. And if we can get the screwdriver on it, the first one's the toughest. We got a little bit started here, so get this kicked around to where we can get it a little bit better. Okay, first one's down. I usually go down and go ahead and pull the rag out. One thing the rag does help you with is spacing, so it's not setting all the way to the bottom. So go down and get your second leg going here. Usually this one here, if you can get it just right, you can use your fingers and get it started. Maybe. There we go. Don't tighten them all the way down because you will be making some adjustments. And don't shut the door without checking it, because this is an area where if the screws and the door is not lined up correctly, you will be making your first scratch on your machine right here. Okay, so be very cautious, and looks like everything is clearing. Not bad, not bad. So let's tighten a few things down. We may have to bump it out just a little bit. Yep, needs to be slid up just a little bit. We're a little bit low. Loosen everything up about a half a turn. Bump it up just a little, not too much. And I only tighten now when I'm getting really close. I'm going to only tighten just the top one and the bottom one, and then we're going to make a decision if we're ready to tighten the rest. Oh, much better, much better. I like that really good. If it seems to be hanging out a little bit, you need to make that adjustment in that hinge right now. But you want it just to fall on its own. You don't have to push it in. You want it to be just about like that. I'm going to bump this one out just a smidge, just a smidge. I'm going to keep the height still the same. And let's see what that does. I went a little farther. Let's see what that one does. Right now I've only got 2 springs tightened. I even like that better. Perfect. All right, tighten them down, which should make the even shut even a little better. Oh yeah, that feels good. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, selection doors on, crank assembly's on. Wow. We got just a few more things left, and we got to do a little bit of wiring. Obviously our decals, but yeah, it's coming along really nice, real nice. We're going to put a few decals on tonight if you want to follow along. This is kind of the fun part of doing the finishing touches on the machine. It has just come out beautiful. This particular machine will be a 10% machine. It was 15 cents, I think, at the end when we got the machine, but we're going to turn it into a dime machine. It does not have a changer on it, so you'll look at your decaling on these, and you get these from Fun-Tronics, Soda Jerk Works, But you can get different literature there. So we're gonna pick the one that says deposit a dime or 2 nickels. Looks pretty good. No trimming needs to be done on these. Insert coin. This would be your foils that, if you're gonna call it correctly. These are the foil parts. They're on a hard back type surface. We'll spin this around. This goes inside. So let me get this brought around here a little bit. So when you get inside on the coin box area, this piece here will go on the inside. It's kind of tighten some things up. If there's ever any vibration, it'll probably come from this area. So this is where just kind of a little padding area. Sometimes these get missed and don't get put back on. I like using them. So this will come in and it'll fit around this area here. So when you shut your door, it gives it just a little bit more cushion in that area. Get our coin cup put in there. Cap catcher, powder coated that. Just really come out nice. Just cleans those up. Probably better than it was new. These really get really nasty and dirty. It cleans up better with powder coat on them, I think. Okay, let's go back to the front. This is open bottle and coin return. I like this style, but I'm going to cut the arrows out. So you will see your open bottle. We'll put it right there. But I always cut on smaller door ones, they're off to the side. This machine just makes sense having it right above each one. So let me get a pair of scissors here. We'll cut these out. One little corner right here. This is a coin return. You can get these in water release or vinyl. I like doing them in vinyl. It's just a little cleaner, I think. Everybody's got their opinion on that, so if you don't get the line cut all the way off, like I just did, you can peel that line back off then and clean those edges up. All right, let's get the other one here. This will be the open bottle here. See if I can do a little better on the cutout this time. You can purchase these this way. Ran out of this particular style, so I kind of do this at times when I usually buy a few extras. Make sure you rub those in really good. Just like that. Just gives a little bit more detail. Get the little Coke decals on there. They go on just like so, in an angle. Had the machine running for the first time last night. Just trying to see how everything's working. It worked real good. Coca-Cola I feel, was very concerned at the time when they made the decision to put other products into their machine. I've set it on other machines. The 81, I feel, is the same way. So there was a reason to put the decals in these top. As you see, they got kind of a break. So you're going to see the top 4 have the Coke was loaded only in the top 4. So you know Coca-Cola's thinking, what are we thinking putting other products into our machine? And obviously it worked for them. It's looking good. A little bit of light on that. You can see that inside. Very nice. All right, we're going to continue on. I like always putting a wrap on the tube coming out of the compressor, going into the condenser area. Then it comes up into the evaporator, I should say. But I do a wrap on there, just kind of cleans up that lower area. And I use the one that's got the self-sealing tape on it. Obviously on an 81, it's not a very long tube. It gets hid right there. And then we'll put on our cover plate. A lot of air will come up through this cover plate. Make sure you get that all sealed off really good, because all that warm air in that lower cabinet will then rush up into your main cabinet. So make sure you get that on. We'll just cut a small piece. It's not a very long piece on this one. I usually just slide it on, and it's going to track all the way to the back there. We'll zip tie quite a bit of this. Even with this self-sealing tape, I'd rather it be on there. Probably bring it right up to the cabinet here. That's looking pretty good. Right there. You can get this stuff at any home supply store. Back there in the plumbing area. Get you down here where you can see that a little bit better, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It'll clean up really nice. We'll pull the tape off here now and get it sealed down. We'll zip tie a couple of pieces here. That way, if anything down the road comes off, it's tied together really good. I always put one up here in the front. We'll cut those little tabs off. All right. I always like hanging the original compressor tag off of there. Just kind of makes it look just like it come from the factory. Make sure you hang it away from the fan. Just like that. All right, inner cabinet looks really good right now. We will get the decals on the inside wall next. Inner door liner. So we got 3 that we're going to put on. The installation loading instructions. Usually center that one right there. And then care, I call it the care for your cooler operation, how to clean it. It'll probably go right underneath. And then we always put the patent notice right here, which kind of cool on this one. 7th month 57, original patent notice. I believe on this one, I saved it off the door liner. It was a 7 of 57. Keeping some original to it. This is the detail part of a machine. If you're looking to buy a machine, you can tell if somebody's taken the time to really show some detailing. This is an area that I try to mirror what they had originally. Depends on where it was made at. You'll see different logos put on. I come off of this top edge right here. I go off that top edge, try to stay with that line and do all your measurements then off of this railing here. Does it need to be centered? Yeah, I think I'll get it pretty well centered. Factory had them pretty well centered. You'll see some that get offset like that, but this one here I'll probably set definitely on this line right here. If you got a little bit of tape, I use this for corners. So when you set your first line up, taking right where your paper is going to come across at, use that for a line, and then do the same thing with the top. This will help square up your decal a little bit. So you got a corner to kind of gauge off of right there. You can set it to that corner and then get you another line right over here, and this will be a good gauge for your height. And that should square up your decal. The beginning one you want really straight. So we're going to stick this on right now. We're going to check our centering right quick. Just see if we're in the right spot. And then take one on your decal, just a little bump. So get your 2 center ones centered up. Get this one centered up. And then go ahead and tape this top edge of your decal on. Just kind of hold it in place. And at this point, if you can check yourself, see how straight your lines are at this point. If you want to step back, you can do that. If you need to put a little bit more on the back side here, on the bottom, like so, just kind of tap it on. I want to change this one here a little bit. It looks a little bit off to me. There we go, that looks better. So if you're measuring the machine, and we didn't do any pre-measurements, I just kind of took my eyeball and looked to see. So right now, if we go off the center, we're right at 7 1/4 there, and we're right at, I missed it by 1/8 of an inch probably. So it depends on the preference. If you want it centered to the door, or you want it centered here. I always kind of set it up this way. One reason for the other 2 decals, I kind of do this and this in 2 of the corners. So feel pretty good where I'm at. If you want to, you can flip this a little over some more if you want to center between here and there, and I'll show you what that looks like, which you can do pretty quickly since you got all your tapes on here. And I want to say right there. Let's see which one we like the best here. So you got your line there. Make sure you got your 2 corners then set up. So set that corner up right here, and we'll take a quick measurement right quick. You can move this stuff quite a bit. That way you can kind of look at it the way it's going to look on the machine. We'll open the original. I got an original 81 here behind us. Let's take a look at it and see where it's at. So now we're centered. Let's see what that measurement looks like. So we're going to go to the kind of the center of this to this is the visual that I'm seeing. Looks like 3 1/4, and we're 3 5/8. So if you're trying to see a visual here that's not too far off, like I said, that's a 3 5/8 versus 3 1/4, right at 3 1/4. So probably just a bump that way, which wouldn't take much to change it. That's why I say just kind of give it a little bit of an adjustment. It is not going to take much. I may end up staying with this one. We'll see. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's go back here and take a look at the 81 we got right behind here. Let's take a look at it right quick. Give us a little bit of an idea of the difference between factory and some of the different factories. We've got several 81s. We'll see. Get this one opened up here. Yeah, they're way off. I'm sure they didn't have much of a gauge, but as you see, that one is real tight to this first lip edge right here, and that decal just centered. So sometimes you see the one, just a single patent notice with this one. So let's go back to where we're at. I think squareness wise, make sure we're on the money there. Off that lip right now down, we're at right at 2 7/8. I'm gonna bring that up just a hair, not much. Put it about right there. Let's see how much that changed it. We're right at 2 there. Yeah, now we're at 2 on both. So we're pretty well where we need to be at. I'm gonna reset this one up just a hair tighter. Hit my lines a little better. Right there. All right, so next step, put that on my paper just a little bit. Your next step then is we'll take both these off. We've got a line here that we're going to try to match up with on the left side. We got our line on the right side. If you've done a bunch of these, you'll probably walk up there and just put it on and it'll be fine. But I thought I'd at least give you a gauge of how to center one with a little bit of tape. Right now we're going to walk up there and we're going to use those 2 corners for our guide. I kind of like that centered better than what I had originally. You'll pull the top part first, get it started, leave your flat piece underneath and go from the top. See if I can nail this the first time. You got to remember we're taking paper off, so you'll have to center again in the middle of this to hit everything just right. I always grab that lower flap about like that, let it hold there and start at the top. Your top will be critical, and then work your way down. If you get an air bubble, don't get nervous. You can work them out as you go. Having that little piece underneath kind of gives you a little bit of protection of things not sticking on you right away. We'll keep going down here. You know, the bigger ones are the tougher ones to put on. The little ones are real easy. And work that all the way down, just like so. And believe it or not, we did that without a bubble. All right. Let's go to our maintenance care one. I usually stick it off just to the left like this, and then bring this one in about in the middle, about like so, something like that. I try to hit this, kind of split this difference right here, and try to hit something there, just enough room for that to hit just right. We'll peel that off. We'll do the same thing, do the top, at the top where you want it. About right there's where I like to have it.
Get the top kind of started, and then we'll work our way down. And if you get something that's just not perfectly right, you can always pull it back up a little bit. Don't get too crazy with it. Like right there, I got something a little bit underneath that one. I'll see if I can save myself here. Be careful when you're pulling it up because it is the vinyl. If I can get that bubble out of there, that's a little better. And then work it back down. Now, try not to stretch it at this point. You gotta work everything out a little bit at a time. Just like. All right. We'll go to the little ID one, the patent ID. We'll do the same thing right there. We'll center it to this one right there. So hit it right there. All right. All right, so all the inside decaling is pretty well done. We're gonna come back and let's get our cover plate and our putty put in. Get this down a little closer so you can see something. Fill this back side up full of plumber's putty. Get at your home improvement stores, lumber yard, plumbing store, whatever. I try to fill this plate up. Fill that whole backing plate up as much as possible. This keeps all the air from coming around this wiring and tubing that's all run up through the lower cabinet. So we need to take these two screws out here. We may fire this back up tonight and let it run. Check and see if everything is still the same it was a couple of nights ago. And get this centered over just a little bit. That off just a little there. There we go. Tube is right where I want it to be at. Let's see there, it did it right there. All right, I think we're there. That cleaned that up pretty good. All right, I believe we're ready to turn this baby on. Boy, is that not looking just fantastic? Woo, wonderful. We'll be right back.